Well, welcome back to our next edition of A Low World with Mike Cara. As always, proudly broadcasting from Ocoee, Florida, USA, planet Earth. And with me today is Aidan Doyle, who is a great Irish folk singer, songwriter, musician, performer, who is actually from Ireland, in County Laois, Ireland. And we're so blessed and honored, Aidan, that you could be here today and tell us all about, your great music. And first of all, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about your background and where your love and passion for music comes from?
Yeah, indeed, Mike. It's great. It's great to be with you. As I played music in Florida a couple of years ago. I did a tour over there, 29 gigs in Tampa Bay, and it was lovely. But I'm from a little county called Laois, County Laois. I'm a town called Portarlington. That's where I was born and reared. As you can see behind me, I'm very much into my Irish heritage. So my music is all kind of related to all our history, and we have quite a bit of history in our past. And I'm always kind of watching out for other history, new history that's coming along, because as a singer-songwriter, we like to watch out for whatever we can, and then we can kind of progress and write a few songs ourselves. But so my music is really, it's all the Irish music that I sing, it's like history lessons, And I tell tales and stories before I sing the songs, so I'm able to tell people what the songs are about. I would my everyday job is in a place called Temple Bar in Dublin, which is very much geared up towards the tourist industry. So we would have visitors from all over the world. And then my job is to go in and sing songs and tell stories and get the atmosphere going and sort of show people what the Irish culture is all about. I know people think it's all about drinking pints and drinking whiskeys and all that, which is true too, But so that's my job, my everyday job before the pandemic came along, obviously. I haven't played music in Temple Bar in almost a year and a half now. As there's nothing happening. We're not allowed to play music in pubs at the moment, so there's nothing we can do. We're only coming out of our lockdown,
Right, yeah. So, Aidan, I wanted to ask you, a question. Being in Ireland, authentic Irish folk musician. Now, one of the things we see in the movies, especially here in this country, America, we see a lot of, Irish pubs where everybody is singing songs and actually singing Irish songs. I mean, in your experience when performing, does the whole audience or whole crowd join in and sing with you?
Oh, yeah. What you see in the films, Mike, is exactly what happens here. And when I was younger, I spent a lot of time in the pubs listening to older guys. And so what you would have is you could have lads in, and what we call sean-óg singing is what you would call a cappella singing. So it's singing without instruments. And Ireland is renowned for it, but we call it sean-óg singing. So it's an old method of singing, and the reason it's been used a lot and has been used a lot in the past was that people were very poor over here, and they didn't have money for instruments or for guitars or for banjos or So what they did was they played, see what's behind me on the wall there, that's what's called a bowron. Now the bowron is made from goat skin, and it's stretched around a circular frame, and it's played with a stick between the fingers, and that would just make the beat. So what these guys did was they just developed a way of singing without instruments, and the stories would have been very much pronounced inside in the songs, and you had what's called, over here we had guys called sean-óg. Now a sean-óg, that's an Irish word, but a Shanachie is the Irish for a storyteller. So these guys would sit at the fire and they'd tell stories about all the things that happened in our past. And then they would belt into a song. And everybody in the pub would sing with them, with the chorus. And even if you didn't know the chorus and you were a visitor, you would pick up on it and you might clap along, or you might just pick one or two words and sing along. So what I try and do often in my gigs, and I've had people from all over the world, and particularly the Americans really, really, really want to, they know quite a lot of our history, I have to say, and quite a lot of our culture. And they ask me about songs that sometimes I look at them, I kind of go, right, well, if you're asking me for that song, you have a huge connection to Ireland, because I'll know by the song. And they'll say, then they'll tell me where, you know, why they have this song. And a lot of the time, Mike, they will say, oh, my grandfather used to sing that, or my father sang that back in America, and he was always wanting to go back to Ireland. So you get that, like, and that's real, and I get that, you know. And then they want to get involved in this. And yes, everything that you would see, with the exception of a little bit of maybe a little bit of an exaggeration, I suppose, everything that you're talking about happens here. And that's the way the pubs are, yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's interesting. And I want to ask you a question, Aidan. You mentioned that you've performed in Florida, but one thing about America, and I wonder how it is in Ireland, is there's 3 songs at least that I've come to the conclusion that you need to play if you're going to be an Irish band in America, and that is Wild Rover, Whiskey in the Jar, and Oh Danny Boy. And that's about, you know, it. I mean,
Yeah.
for you, I mean, how is it in Ireland? I mean, are those songs popular, or do you focus, like you said, more on the culture, more on the history-based songs?
Yeah, no, yeah. That's interesting that you say that, because, see, Danny Boy is not an Irish song, you know? Danny Boy is
Oh,
a
wow.
Scottish, Danny Boy is a Scottish song, but it was adapted by the Irish people. So we kind of took it on. And Danny Boy over here is a song we don't sing that much, but we do sing. It's to be honest, when I went to Florida a while back, and we did our first gig, and we did it in a place called the Four Green Fields in Tampa Bay, and a lovely place, thatch roof, the whole lot. And the first night I was there, I was asked for Danny Boy at least 20 times. And I said to the boys that were with me, the 2 band members, when I went back to the hotel, I said, geez, lads, we better brush up on Danny Boy, because like everybody's looking for this, you know. So I play whistles as well. And so I did this thing, and the boys were saying, why are you doing that? I said, because we're going to be asked for this everywhere. And we were asked for that song everywhere we went. And we exactly the songs that you were saying. So we had Whiskey in the Jar, the Irish Whiskey in the Jar, not the Tin Lizzy one, which we do like, but we had a group called Tin Lizzy, which I'm sure maybe you're familiar with, and they did a kind of a rocked up version. But what we do is the genuine sort of Irish cultural version, and yeah, so we do that, and then the Wild Rover, man, everybody wants the Wild Rover, you know. And what I noticed about America was when we sang the Wild Rover, and it's no, nay, never, and then over here we go, rise up your skirt, just as a funny thing that everyone says, but everybody in America was waiting to come in on that, you know. And or another one, the Black Velvet Band. Now, the Black Velvet Band, when I sang that in America, you know, her eyes, they shone like diamonds, you'd think she was the queen of the land. And then everyone's in, and she was, and we never knew that before. So we never heard the song being sang that way before.
Right.
So when we did, I kind of went, oh, okay, so we know where we are. And every time we said she was the queen of the land, and she was, everybody came in shouting it, like, you know. So yeah.
Okay, Aidan. So we mentioned that you're, a songwriter as well. So I mean, do you like to write, songs? I mean, do you research history? I mean, do you write some of these like history songs you were talking about, or?
Yeah. So I write. So what I kind of do, if you see behind me, that flag is the Irish Republic. It's the Proclamation of Freedom from 1916. And my connection is quite big because my grandfather was involved, and he was interned in also during our Civil War. So I would have a big passion for songs that people would probably label rebel songs. And they are rebel songs, but they're rebel songs of an era that is very, very much a pinnacle sort of era of our history, which would be 1916 when we fought for our freedom. So yeah, so what I do there is I look at stories and I read some books and I read some stories and I pick up on maybe something that wasn't picked on before, and I write about it and I write a song about it. And I've quite a few of them. I have a song that's called Ireland's Heroes, which I have recorded in studio, and I just haven't had a chance to put it on. I have a new album ready to go, but when it was ready to go just before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit, and I couldn't get into any studios. So it's just so. Yeah, so I've one called Ireland's Heroes, which is it's a bit of our old time and our present time. And it's about some heroes names of heroes that would be very prominent and very sort of important in the Irish history and the Irish struggle, because see, our struggle went on for 800 years. So like, even though we had the 1916 rising, well, there was so many other risings that failed. So like you had 1897, where there was a rising, and that didn't work, and back in the 1700s, and that didn't work, and then you have our famine, which was 1846, 45, 6, and 7. So you've plenty of history like that. So yeah, I would pick up on all of those, And one interesting thing is, so I have a show called the Monday Club every Monday, and it goes out here at 2:30 Irish time during the day. And the reason I did it was because it was one of my shows that I used to perform in Temple Bar. And when the lockdown came, I had people coming on to me asking me, would I go and do a few songs? So I just said, here, look, I'll do this, So I never missed one Monday during the pandemic. So we haven't missed a Monday in a year and a half. And I met a guy online, a guy called there's two of them now. I'm just gonna So the man I talk about is Tom Parker. So Tom Parker is a man that he lives in Nova Scotia, okay, and Tom was telling me about a story about the Erie Canal and the Irish people that worked on the Erie Canal, and the people, the conditions, and the amount of people lost their lives working on the canal. And it was built by hand, shovel, pick, axe, jimmy bars, and then chiseled the stones out for all the canal bridges and the canals and the locks and all that kind of stuff. So the two of us got to collaborate then. And he said, I have a song, I'm going to send it to you. And he said, but I don't know how to finish it, and I don't know what I want to change it. So I took the story on board, and then we did that song, and I put loads of changes in, and then I wrote another verse and a few more little bits and pieces and a chorus. and then we came up with a song called The Erie Canal, you know, and that's going to go on the album because now myself and Tom have co-written it, you know. So yeah, I take all the Irish stories I can, Mike, and they don't have to be Irish. They can be Irish American. I have another song that I wrote about the very first man in America to receive the Medal of Honor was an Irishman from Roscommon. And so I've written that song with a guy from Florida as well, called Brian Bean. Yeah, so I've written that song with him, and I performed it on stage with Derek Warfield and the Wolftones, young Wolftones, and we performed it at a ceremony for Michael Murphy, who was the soldier who was killed in action in Afghanistan. The film was Lone Survivor. You might remember that film. Yeah. So it was about Mike because he was Irish and these guys knew him. So I did a big commemoration night. And I met his mother and we told her about the story and what's involved in the song and all that, you know. So yeah. I like to do things like that.
Oh, great. Okay, Aidan. So I want to talk about some of these nice songs that our audience will be listening to, at least for the pod radio version. So let's see. First of all, we have the Irish pub song. Can you tell us about this one?
Yeah. So this is a fun song. And it's a song that no matter where you go in the world, you find an Irish pub. No matter where you go, you'll find an Irish pub, and it's all about the characters in it, you know. And the owner might be Norwegian, but the manager will come from Cork. And there could be fellas at the bar, and there's one part says there's a fella at the bar says only Egypt's work, you know. So he's happy enough to be at the bar, and he's so yeah. So this is a fun thing, and it's a great song, a song that people get up and dance around to and laugh. It gives them, you know, it's a good feeling song. And it's so you can walk, you know, you walk into a city street, it might be in Peru, you know, and you'll still find a pub, you know. And you know, it's very true that I remember the first night I was setting up in Florida to do my gig, I got a tap on the shoulder and I turned around and there was a guy standing beside me or behind me who grew up 2 doors away from where I live, and we were mates and friends. Right. Yeah. And there he was after seeing that my name was after being advertised, and he drove to see the gig, you know. So it's like that, you know, no matter where you are in the world, there's that Irish connection, and that's what the song is all about, you know.
Oh, okay. So the next song we have is Brendan's Voyage. Can you tell us about this song?
Yeah, another one, another song that's a funny song, and see, we love to laugh at ourselves. You know that. You know the Irish love to laugh at themselves. Like, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So this song is. I always start this song. When I start this song, I say, right, here's a story about a guy called St. Brendan. Now, St. Brendan is reported to have found America before Christopher Columbus. But he was drunk, and it doesn't count.
Right.
So he was on the beer for 7 and 8 weeks on the boat, and then what he did was he because it didn't count, he came back home and he decided that feck it, I'll go and get married. So that didn't work either, you know. So it's a real funny song, that is, and again, a real good feeling song. I'm sure maybe you've listened to it probably, but it's a real good feeling song, you know. And you'll find, Mike, that we have the one thing that the Irish are really good at is we sing songs that make you cry, but we sing just as many songs that make you laugh.
Right, you know? Right. Yeah.
So what we try and spread that feeling, you know, that so it's very sad, or it's very, very, very funny, you know.
Oh, okay. And another song we have here is Lonesome Boat Man. Can you tell us about this one?
Okay, so that's a tune. That's a tune. Okay. Now that Lonesome Boatman is a tune, and it was written by a man called Finbar Fury, who was from a group called the Fury Brothers and Davy Arthur. Now, the Fury Brothers and Davy Arthur were huge all over the world. And so this is Finbar. Finbar played whistles like myself, and he played what's called uilleann pipes, which is a war pipe from years and years ago, but it's a really lovely instrument. And so he wrote this piece of music, but he could never get words to go with the song. They wouldn't come to him. So what he did then was he put a poem in front of the song, and he played it as a whistle tune. Now, the story is, it's all about a guy who was a sailor, and the
Right.
ship that he sailed on could sail no more. So it came in from the sea, and it was on dry dock, and it was falling asunder. And every time he went past it, his life flashed back of how much he loved the ship, and he loved the
Right.
ocean,
Right.
and he
Yeah.
loved sailing. And then what happened was he was telling the story one evening, and he by the time the story was finished, he passed away. And the man, like, let's say Finbar himself, was standing talking to him, and in the rain, and then he was just, the ambulance men came, took him away, and he was left standing there with this story in his head that was so very sad. And so the tune is it's a whistle tune, a very, very popular piece of music over here.
Oh, okay. So yeah, those are some songs, and now, Aidan, I want to talk a little bit about, you performing. You mentioned about the Temple Bar, and so right now, is things getting kind of somewhat back to normal as far as the musical performances in Ireland?
No, not really. That's the simple answer. And the funny thing, I was just driving about a half an hour ago, and my agent was talking to me, and he was just telling me that the word is out today that the pubs are starting to open, but they have banned live music again for another while. So it's looking like live music in the pubs probably won't be with us until about September. We're thinking, we don't even know at that stage if it's. They're talking about experimenting on big crowds of, say, 5,000 people, open air concerts and that. But then the smaller pub, which is kind of ironic, really, in a way, because the smaller pub is very easy to sort of keep an eye on everything and make sure things
Yeah.
are in place. And I would have thought that would be the place to start, really, but no, they don't seem to be doing anything. And all our musicians, including myself, all the musicians, every one of us are hurting now. We're just, I know guys, and they're in danger of losing their houses, because we're getting no help. We're not, it's not like,
Right. Yeah.
and we would have been so used to being like, Mike, I would get up in the morning today now, as I'm talking to you, on a normal day, I would have maybe 3 gigs finished already. So my gigs would start at 12 o'clock in the day, in the
Right.
afternoon,
Yeah.
and go right until 2 o'clock in the morning. And all those guys were very hard working musicians. Like, it's quite, as you well know, look, it's quite difficult to go and do 4 gigs in one day, and do that
Right.
3 days in a row. That's 12 gigs in 3 days. And it's very enjoyable, don't get me wrong. But our music, I think our music industry here is going to be the last thing to come back.
Oh, well, we hope it will be soon. So, okay, Aidan, one thing I wanted to ask you about, is Saint Patrick's Day. So, I mean, as far as the first question is, I mean, around, especially around here, with the way we celebrate is with a big can of Guinness, corned beef, and cabbage. I mean, is that how it is in Ireland?
Listen, I mean, yeah. Look, I'm only after getting up. I'm only after getting up from the table, and I had the bacon and turnip, like, it's too much to say. But yeah, it would be the traditional dinner over here would be bacon, cabbage, and potato. And yeah, 99% of people on Paddy's Day would start their day off with that, and the Guinness with it as well. So that's quite accurate. And when I went over and did my tour, it was the whole month of March I went, and I was amazed at America, because when I got there on the 2nd of May or March, they were celebrating Paddy's Day with parades. And when I was going away on the 23rd or 24th of March, they were still celebrating Paddy's Day. So in America, you seem to do it, it's like Paddy's month, St. Paddy's month.
Right, yeah.
That's what it looked like, you know what I mean? Like, so,
Yeah.
And I was playing in Charlotte in North Carolina, and we did a television program at 7:30 in the morning or something like that. And we played a tune, and the Irish dancers were dancing on the morning show as well, and it was very good. It was very nice. But yes, Paddy's Day would start off like that. It's quite accurate.
Oh, okay. Okay, Aidan. So I want to talk a little bit, about your social media and your website and how people could see you. So first of all, let's talk about this Monday show. Now, as far as I wanted to let our American audience know what time that would be, you said what was the time, Irish time?
So yeah, so the Irish time, we start first of all, I'll tell you the history of the Monday Club is goes back. It's a great Irish thing. Now, I do believe it's an American thing as well. But here's what it was all about. So the Monday Club is a group of guys who get up on a Monday morning, and they have been so drunk and drank so much over the weekend that they can't face going to work. So some of them head off pretending they're going to work, and they head to the pub, and they get the hair of the dog that bit them, right? So it's what we say over here. I know if you're familiar with that. So you go,
Yeah.
where were you going? Oh, I got the hair of the dog that bit me last night. So they go in and they get one or two in, and with every intention of saying, right now, I'll be right now, and maybe I'll go to work, but that's not going to happen. So what they do is they'll make a phone call, and then two of their friends will arrive, two more will arrive, three more, and then maybe a guitar and maybe a banjo. And then all of a sudden there's a session, and it's a Monday Club session. And the wife might think he's gone to work, or the husband might think she's gone to work, but she's gone around the corner to the local pub. And that's where it came from. And when during the Celtic Tiger here, Mondays were like better than Saturday nights, So that's where the Monday Club came from. And I wrote a song called The Monday Club, and I put it on social media, and it got like 1.7 or 8 million views. And it just, then I realized, everybody's likes the Monday Club. It's a funny song as well. It's just a funny thing about, what going to the Monday Club and all that. And so that's where the Monday Club is. So then what happened was I started it. So I used to do a gig in Temple Bar, in the old Dublin, or in Temple Bar, and it was always at 12:30 in the morning. But I changed it then a little bit because I realized that it was very early in America. I do realize that. So it's our time, 2:30. It starts every Monday. And it's on my site. My site is called Aidan Doyle Music. on Facebook.
Oh, okay. So now, do you have like a website or?
No, what I do is, sorry, Mike. Yeah, so what I do, Mike, is I have that on my Facebook site. Then I have my email site, my emails as well, and we're in the process of doing a website. My son makes websites and makes all the different videos and all. So we're in the process of doing a full website, which we will have for an international spread. You know.
Oh, okay. So now, as far as YouTube, do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have any of these performances on Temple Bar on YouTube or?
Not yet. I do have one. I do have 3 or 4 of my own songs, my original songs, on YouTube, and they'll be under Aidan Doyle music. And there's videos of songs. There's not too many up yet, because what we were trying to do was, as I say, I have a full album ready to go, and we didn't want to launch it onto the YouTube without actually having it all finished in studio, you know. So we held back on that then, and we're in that process at the moment of doing that. So the easiest way for somebody to see my music at the moment is to go into Aidan Doyle Music on Facebook. And what we do is, after every show, I post a video and leave it up for 30 days. I leave it for the month. And people can look into it, and I've quite now my reach would be quite good. There's times I could reach 32, 33, 34,000 people around the world, you know, and loads of comments and loads. There's great banter on it, you know, and I love people telling me their stories and asking for old Irish songs that they know, stuff that will move them, or stuff that will make them laugh, or stuff that will remind them of a loved one that's gone, or, you know, stuff like that, you know. I mean, it's a real good feel show, you know.
Right. So one thing, Aidan, I wanted to, ask you, talking about, celebrations, of course, in America, we have the 4th of July, which is very big here. But I mean, do you have an equivalent to like the 4th of July, like a Ireland Independence Day or something?
Yeah, so our Independence Day would be, it's Easter, you know. Easter is always the Easter Rising is so in 1916 it started on the Easter Sunday, Easter Monday, you know. And so they would be our 4th of July, you know. And then for the whole month of the Easter month, there would be quite a lot of different celebrations going on, because when our leaders of the proclamation were all captured after the initial fight, they were all executed in Kilmainham jail on different dates throughout the month of May. So when Easter comes along and finishes, then May takes over. So it quite go on for maybe a month after, like, but the main one would be Easter, you know.
Oh, okay. Well, Aidan, I really, appreciate, your time, and definitely talking about, Ireland. I wish I could take a plane right now from Orlando International Airport to Dublin, because it just, I mean, well, I'm sure I know the answer, but it just seems so wonderful and so green. And I mean, is that how you view Ireland? Do you have a lot of love for it, or?
Oh, look, you know, I couldn't tell you enough, because Ireland's in my heart. Like, Ireland is just everything. I had choices when I worked. I could have worked all over the world, and I was blessed that I was able to stay here in this country. And I don't mean that about anybody else's country either. I like to visit other countries. But when you come back here, and I drove home, I was away today, and I drove home, and the fields are just emerald green now, and the hawthorn bushes are bent over with white flowers, and the lovely smell along the road of the flowers coming through the window. And yeah, so there's a lot of green. And it's funny that you say that, because Johnny Cash, one of your own greats, Johnny came to Ireland, and Johnny wrote a song called The 40 Shades of Green. And
Right. Yeah.
he
Yeah.
wrote it on the airplane flying out of Ireland after being here. And he wrote it on a napkin on the airplane. And what struck him was he knew Ireland was green, but he didn't realize from the air that green came in at least 40 shades of green. And that's where he wrote this song. Now, the thing about it is, it's a beautiful song, and we adopted it. We adopted it. And I often sang this in Dublin, and American people come up and say, Johnny Cash wrote that? And I said, he did, yeah. And the thing about it was, he got it spot on. He wrote, it could have been written by an Irishman as far as we were concerned. And it was a masterstroke. So we robbed the song and we made it very popular over here, you know.
Right, right. Okay, Aidan, is there any final thoughts or anything else you'd like to mention, or mention that you're recording an album or something?
Yeah, so I'm recording an album at the moment, and I've got 8 fantastic Irish songs on it, and 1 or 2 Irish stroke American songs on it. And we are going to have everything in it. I'm blessed because my friends who are musicians, they have huge experience. Like, you know, we've got guys who have toured the world and are used to touring the world, and they're all there. They're friends with me, friends of mine now, and it's easy for us to go into a studio when there's no pandemic, of course, and we just sit around and jam along and come up with the music. And there's going to be everything from uilleann pipes to accordions to banjos and fiddles, and the music will be really, really, really heartfelt and real good Irish music, you know.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time, Aidan. My guest has been Aidan Doyle, and you've been listening to Hello World with Mike Cara. And please definitely catch us again next time.